flying high as a bird. I may never touch the ground. It may not be my birthday, but I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate.
Okay, go.
Jeff, get us one of those marker things where it's like, and
action.
Never understood what the hell those things are for, but we need one. Makes us look official. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 44, Jim Brown Syracuse shout out of the Waft. I am Dwight.
And I am Emily.
And we are six-figure business owners in the form of CycleBar West Omaha. Currently in 5 figures of debt, soon to be 4, soon to be paid off. And that is the topic of conversation today.
Yes, when we were thinking of what to talk about, I thought it would be very interesting because
we always talk about it at the start of the episode.
We always talk about at the start of the episode how we have this massive amount of debt that we're about to pay off. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. So maybe this is like a little pat on our back episode that we have come January. So in 3 years and like 3 months, we'll have paid off $480,000.
$500,000 sounds cooler.
$500,000, but like with interest, $500,000 in debt.
Which is fucking crazy to
years.
say out loud.
Yeah, like I feel like think about student debt or things like that. Like people take their time paying off debt, but we got in $500,000 worth of debt, and in 3 years have paid this motherfucker off. And so we wanted to explain, if you're in business or in debt, how we did it.
And as life enthusiasts, it's kind of our way to give back. So maybe someone's watching this in the present at the end of 2022 and looking for some advice or where to start. Or someone's watching this 3 to 4 years in the future. That's the nice thing about this. It's evergreen. So like a lot of times I'll search on YouTube trying to find certain things. And it's annoying because people like tiptoe around it. So like that's kind of why we're open books, because we want to give back. That's exactly why we opened CycleBar, is we want to help. And that's why we're recording this episode, is because we want to help and provide real perspective to people on like what it takes to pay off a $500,000 loan.
But I also think that it's paying off like our business loan, but in the process of paying off our loan and in starting our business, like me, like I have completely changed my opinion and how I function around finances. So I also think it's just super beneficial to talk about finances in general, because it's changed how I spent, like cue my Starbucks habit, completely breaking it.
It's learning.
Because there was no other option. But it's like now I live a completely different life than I did growing up, because I've learned the value of money and how important it is not to be in debt.
Yeah. Well, it's our money too. Like you're playing with like your back against the wall, whereas when you're working for someone else, it's much easier to just kind of throw the company's money around when it's not yours.
Right. So I think the number one way, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the number one way that we paid off such a hefty loan in such a quick amount of time was, number one, like not thank goodness our business has been successful. So
that's what hard work and having a successful business.
I think if our business wasn't making money, it would be like a completely different story. But like luckily our business makes money. So that is step one, is like hustle for your business so it makes money. But the second thing was that we hired Jeff, who is a CPA. And we agreed that we will pay ourselves jack shit.
Yes. So to get into like rough numbers, we've alluded to it on other episodes, but like taxes are a son of a bitch the way they are. When you own a business, you essentially pay double taxes, to not get into like the nitty gritty of it. But when you're the business owner, you pay for the employees' taxes, and then you also pay the state or the government. So you're getting double tax, which sucks. So long story short, what we did was we said, what number can we like barely live off of? And that number was just shy of under $400 every 2 weeks. So we pay ourselves like $925 every 2 weeks, but that's pre-tax. So what we actually see is $390. But the nice thing is every 2 weeks, or I should say at the end of the year, all that tax money, then we don't pay in. So then last year we got a return, and shout out to Jeff, our CPA, like he finagles it. So that way we take this big kick in the dick every 2 weeks, but then at the end of the year, we can get a return, where other people, like their first year in business, what we learned is they don't do any of this. And at the end of the year, they're paying the government like $15,000, $20,000. Like, oh shit,
Yeah.
So like,
step one is hire a good CPA.
Yeah.
And then figure out like, okay, we're going to eat shit sandwiches for 3 years. We're going to live off Costco hot dogs and ramen. I'm going to give up my Starbucks habit and give up my Lululemon and all of those things, but pay this loan off 10 times faster. And so, yeah, we withhold every paycheck. So that way, when it comes to the end of the year, we don't owe a ton of taxes.
And
so I think that's super helpful.
And on top of it, like, I don't want it to be a misconception that like literally that's the only money that we have. We take less because in the event we need more car payment, pay off the mortgage, or we're a little short on something, we can still take a one-time draw from the business. But then when we do that, it's literally just like $200, $500 to pay this off, versus other people like might just be like, oh, I'm going to take $4,000 every paycheck or whatever number you want to throw around to make it look like you have all this. But then, like I just said, you're fucked at the end of the year because you're paying back the government, or you're paying more interest towards the loan. So
yeah,
like if I can go more into that, but
yeah, I think the biggest thing that I have really taken away from this is like just a mindset and like a life shift. Like coming into opening this business, like again, I drink Starbucks every day. I spent at least $6 because I drink oat milk, so probably $8 on a coffee every day. And then I cut that habit, and I would always like shop at Lululemon and buy the most expensive leggings, and I just wasted money on things that like now in retrospect, like you just don't need. You just think you need them, or you want them because they bring you like immediate joy. But you know what brings me like so much fucking more joy is the fact that the most proud accomplishment I have in my life is paying off $500,000. Like I have never paid off, like that's insane that we can say that we have paid off $500,000 in debt in 3 years. Like it's the most proud I've ever been of myself for doing something. And at the end of the day, like I'm not going to remember the 3 years of eating fucking ramen and working like paycheck to paycheck and my bank account bleeding. Like none of that matters, because the proudness that I feel for what we've accomplished is 10 times more. So like I don't give a shit that I can't have Starbucks every day when I'm doing what I love every day, and that I'm so proud of what we're doing. So I think it's perspective of like, you think you need these things. Like I came from a life where like I thought I needed to drive my dad's Mercedes. Like it sounds so shitty, and I needed to have my Starbucks, and I needed to wear a headset to Lululemon. You know what? That's fucking bullshit. That doesn't bring you joy. What brings you joy is doing things that make you feel proud and make you feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got on a little
soapbox. That was a very, very big soapbox.
Right.
Episode's called How to Pay Off a $500,000 Loan. Emily just goes on a tangent.
I know, but I think it's just, it is like, people think money is everything, but it's not.
I think money does buy more things that will bring people happiness. But again, these are our experiences. I never want someone to watch this and be like, that's how I should live my life. It's just like, here's one perspective on it. Right. And from our viewpoint on going back to the loan, we like the average payment monthly was $7,000, maybe a little more. Like it's a shit ton. It's a fucking scary number when we first saw it. But we average paying like $12,000, give or take, because we pay ourselves jack shit. But in the grand scheme of things, paying this off in half the time, like people don't look at numbers, but it's just like the interest that would have been over 7 years is $105,000. Like that is just mind blowing. Just in interest, money that you'll never fucking see again. Yeah. So when it comes to paying off a $500,000 loan or any type of loan in general, I would say look at the interest rate, because then when you actually see that number over the course of it, it's eye opening. Yeah. But it's also just like live within the means that will make you happy, and don't just cut out. I think people find it easy to cut out the big stuff. Like I'll use CycleBar as an example. People have canceled their membership because they're like, it's the most expensive thing. I go, but I bet you have Hulu and Netflix and HBO Max, all these things that cost $5 to $10 a month that you're not fucking using. So really evaluate which things bring you happiness and get rid of the ones that are useless, regardless of the dollar amount.
Yeah. And I think the other way we paid it off super quick was because you're the finance guy. So what I feel like what's typically could have been easy to do is our business makes money. And every month when we made money, it would have been easy to then pay ourselves bonuses, because it's like, oh, that's great.
Yay,
we're
money.
Doing well.
Yeah.
Yay. Let's pay ourselves. But instead, every single month, whatever excess we had in our bank account behind like our buffer of what we needed, we would put right into the loan. So we paid our payment, and then every month, pretty much as long as we could, we paid whatever extra we made went right towards the loan. So I think a lot of the times, like, people open a business to make money, and then they make money, and then they take the money to themselves. But what we did was that you looked at the bank account every month, and you were like, we have this excess, we're putting it right towards the loan.
Going back to the CPA, another thing to help pay off any type of loan is, especially a business loan, get a CPA. It's worth the money tenfold. Because a lot of times people would see a business, they'd be like, oh, the monthly rent, payroll, and the SBA payments. But you don't realize there's a bunch of other shit. The overhead cost, just because everyone knows I get pissed about it. Towels disappearing.
Yeah.
Like there's little things that add up that you have no clue about until you sit down with your CPA and you're like, oh shit, like that's money that's being spent. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't realize that costs money to run a business. So that is very helpful from the CPA side of things. And then they can help navigate this course to say, here's how the taxes work, and here's how much you can pay yourself, and here's how much you won't have to pay at the end of the year. So education in that regard, but also sometimes they talk at such a high level that like it went over your head for sure. And sometimes like I was even like,
I still don't understand the withholding, but like...
Yeah, so that's why why we're making this video is to make it really simple. Like, it seems like simple stuff to say, but maybe someone else in the future can watch this and be like, oh, I resonate with that versus what some accountant's telling me that I literally don't understand.
The main moral of the story is hire a CPA. You may not understand what they're saying, but they're probably right. Hire a CPA, do what they say, minimize operating costs.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, with payroll, that's why we teach a boatload of classes, because we don't pay ourselves for classes. So it's like, do whatever you can to minimize your operating costs. Get the Walmart towels. But like, don't.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it goes back to the loan.
Love what you do. I think at the end of the day, I know this is how to pay off $500,000 loan, but it's like, love what you do, because so many people, I don't know if so many, but people go into business thinking it's literally just going to be, here, go run it self. I know nobody, and I mean nobody, that has a business that just sits over there and makes money without some sort of like nurturing. I believe, like, again, I always reference Alex Hormozy, but he's like, it's like a garden. You got to nurture it. Mm-hmm. Like, if we don't tend to it, everything's going to die. And that's point blank, period. So that's why we love what we do. We're so involved in it. And hopefully, here in 2 months, we reap the fruits of our labor when the fucking loan is finally paid off and I can figure out a new intro.
I mean, yeah, but also to close out, in hopefully January, we will put the final payment and the loan amount will say 0. What do we do? Do we throw a party?
We go on a big
trip. Do
trip.
you go on a huge trip and spend the loan payment on a fucking trip? You know, like, what do we do when we pay it off to celebrate?
Yeah, that's
what I want to know.
That's your assignment.
If you paid off $500,000 of loan, what would you do?
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Until next time. Peace
out, Cub Scouts.
Cub Scouts.
It may not be my birthday, but I just want to celebrate.